One regulates how energy comes in. One improves how energy is used. Let's clean up a confusion that keeps costing people time and money. Retatrutide and Cardarine both get labeled as a fat loss compound. This label makes people assume that they are interchangeable. They aren't. They don't solve the same problem. They don't feel the same when you take them. And if you expect one experience but get the other, you will assume that they didn't work. I am specifically using Retatrutide and Cardarine because they clearly represent two categories that govern body composition. I'm gonna give you an example of two different people. Person A, they wake up motivated. They eat clean all day. Their protein is in check. They eat a salad for lunch. Everything is okay until 9 p.m. Then the brain flips. Hunger gets loud. Cravings gets intense. They don't choose to snack. It just feels like it happens. They wake up frustrated and say, I need a fat burner. So person B, the second person, their calories are in check. Their appetite is in control. Their eating is structured to the point to where they know exactly what they are eating and they always meet their macros. But when it comes to the gym, when it comes to working out, when it comes to intensity, cardio in most cases feels like punishment. They are attempting to do the work, but their body just aren't allowing them to do as much as they need to do. Person B typically says, I need something to speed up fat loss. Both person A and person B, they want fat loss, but person A is struggling with intake consistency and person B is struggling with output capacity. If you don't separate these two, you will pick the wrong tool during your fat loss journey. Every body composition comes down to two forces. Intake, how much energy is entering your system, and output, how much energy your system uses. No compound will delete calories. No compound will override physics. Compounds only influence one side or the other. So the real question isn't what's the best fat loss compound? It's which side is limiting your fat loss journey right now, either intake or output. These are the only two options. Intake compounds primarily do one thing. They change your experience when it comes to eating. That means they influence hunger, cravings, meal size, fullness, and that constant background mental pull towards food. Retatrutide, Tirzepatide, and Semaglutide, they all fit this category. They act through appetite and satiety signaling. They also change how the body handles incoming energy. In the real world, you feel full faster, you stay full longer, meals shrink without you fighting yourself, cravings calm down, and that constant mental noise around food gets a lot quieter. And this is why GLP-1 type fat loss compounds are extremely powerful for the right person. It isn't powerful because they burn fat. They are powerful because when intake becomes stable, fat loss becomes much more predictable. But as with anything that has its pros, it also has its cons. Intake compounds they do have trade-offs. We all know calories are fuel. So when intake drops significantly, performance most of the time also drops, especially early on. When you suppress your appetite even more, workouts feel even more flatter, pumps start to feel weaker, and the motivation to push can drop as well. This isn't a sign that the compound is bad. It's a sign that you are running a tighter fuel system. And this is exactly why a lot of people that run GLP-1 type research compounds, they often say, I'm losing weight, but I don't have energy. This is the trade-off of appetite suppression and also being in a calorie deficit. So who are intake tools actually for? They make sense when you have issues with intake control. Great structure during the day. Your evenings become a negotiation. Late night eating is the main culprit. And you feel as if your brain continues to push you towards food even when you don't want it. If this describes you, intake regulation may be the right tool for you for where you are in your fat loss journey. An output tool will not fix this problem. Better endurance doesn't silence cravings. If your intake is unstable, you must address this first. Output compounds work on an entirely different system to help you lose fat. They influence how your body uses energy, not hunger. Output compounds do a variety of things. They increase endurance capacity, they increase work capacity, they improve how efficiently fuel is used during exercises, and whether training feels sustainable. Cardarine specifically activates a receptor called PPAR delta. This output tool improves endurance capacity. If you've ever experimented with Cardarine, you know the exercises feel a whole lot much more easier, cardio feels smoother, and training volume becomes much more realistic. But Cardarine doesn't shrink meals, it doesn't quiet food noise, and more importantly, it doesn't suppress your appetite. So if intake is chaotic, you will feel as if your output tool didn't work. There are a long list of output compounds that you can choose from, especially compared to the list of intake compounds, which are primarily GLP-1 research compounds. Because appetite regulation happens in a narrow set of brain and gut pathways. There aren't many safe ways that you can suppress your appetite, but output tools can be influenced on multiple levels because there are many moving pieces in order to increase your output. This isn't because of some sort of bias, it's just basic biology. The experience between these two tools is different. People routinely misjudge compounds because they judge them based on what those compounds feel like. So if hunger is an issue and you decide to choose a intake tool, hunger drops, craving drops, and eating becomes easier. But if you decide to choose an output tool, hunger stays the same. And in many cases, if you decide to use an output tool, your hunger will increase because your exertion increase due to that output tool. Performance. Intake tools typically don't help you with performance. Output tools, the right one, will actually help performance feel more sustainable. The mental experience, an intake tool will make food a whole lot quieter. There's no need to negotiate. Output tools, on the other hand, makes effort feel easier. Cardio, in most cases, feels doable, and training feels sustainable. Same fat loss goal, just completely different lived experiences. If you expect hunger control from an output tool, you will feel as if that output tool is weak. If you expect endurance from an intake tool, you will feel as if that intake tool is overrated. This is not the compound failing. This is just a mismatch in expectation. I've actually identified 3 patterns that usually make people pick the wrong tool. Pattern 1, I see a lot of people had results online, so it should work for me. Online results only show a compound working for someone who choose that compound based on their limiting factor. This doesn't guarantee it matches yours. Pattern 2, I'll just stack both of these compounds and that should cover everything. Sometimes this actually works, but often all this does is just add variables and hides the real issue. More tools don't create clarity. All they do is add complexity. Pattern 3, and I'm pretty sure that most of you have felt into this trap. I need something stronger. Most of the time, it's not about getting something stronger. A stronger output tool combined with uncontrolled intake will always lead to disappointment. And a strong intake tool plus an already suppressed appetite will feel underwhelming. So here's a simple decision tool that you can use when you are trying to decide which of these tools do I need. Do I need an intake tool or do I need an output tool? Do you constantly lose control at night because hunger and craving spike? If yes, an intake tool is what you might need. Is appetite controlled, but training feels hard and output feels limited? If yes, an output tool might be what you need. Now you can really stop guessing. You can choose which one of these tools you need, an intake or an output tool. All you have to do is to be able to answer those 2 questions honestly. So if you decide to choose the wrong one first, say your intake is unstable and you add an output tool first, here's what happens. More activity, more hunger, more overeating, and more frustration because it didn't work. If output is low and you decide to suppress even harder, here's what happens. You will lose weight, but your training will feel weak, your recovery will suffer, and in most cases, you feel worse than expected. Most people, based on the researchers I talk to every day, they choose to suppress harder. They choose to escalate the dose, to add an additional compound to suppress harder, all while they are not feeling as if they are okay. Fix the side that it's currently limiting consistency, then fix the other side. This suggestion is all about sustainability. It's all about making your fat loss journey easier. Retatrutide and Cardarine, just like any other intake tool or output tool, are not competitors. They only operate on opposite sides of the equation. One regulates how energy comes in. One improves how energy is used. If you understand how intake versus output, appetite suppression versus fat burning capacity, you will stop chasing hype. You will stop expecting the wrong experience, and you will stop wasting time and money trying to force a tool to do a job it wasn't built to do. And that's the whole point of this video. If this video helped you get a clear understanding of the difference between an intake tool and an output tool, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.